And welcome to another episode of Ask the Arts. Today we have a very special guest all the way from Perth. It's Belinda Cipriano. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle. It is an absolute honour to talk to you today.
I am so excited to find out about this book of yours. Can you give me a little bit of feedback on your journey up to this point and what was the inspiration behind this latest project?
Okay, so my career, my background is journalism. From a very young age, that is always what I dreamed of doing. In fact, I've got little pictures of myself that my mum used to take of me reading the local newspaper when I was about 4 years old. So I always knew that's what I wanted to do, share people's stories. So I got into journalism and I've been doing that for over 2 decades. Absolutely love it. I've moved into marketing and communications and I still do freelance journalism on the side. But I always wanted to write books. Always. I love telling stories from a very young age. And during the pandemic, I decided if it's not now, when's it going to be? So with all that downtime, I was still working, but I was working part-time at the time. And I'd also just taken a redundancy the year before from the newspaper that I was working at. It was taken over by another organisation. And so I decided then that I would take some time and actually do the things that I had always dreamed of doing. So then the pandemic came and like I said, I was working part-time and I thought with the extra time, I'm going to write my book. Now, you can see the little background that I've got up today. That is the village of Madeleine. And I first went there in 1995 and this village here is pretty much the inspiration for everything that I do. I got to meet my grandma for the very first time and she is my biggest inspiration in life. She is no longer with us, but I was very lucky to meet her. And she used to sit pretty much where I'm sitting on this little mountain and overlook the ocean there. And she would sit there and tell us stories of, generations gone by. And she'd sit and tell us so many stories. And I always wanted to honour her stories in some shape or form. So I thought, okay, I loved her so much. I loved that island. I loved everything that it represented. And so I decided to come up and write my very first children's book, Constance and Madeleine Seaside Adventure. And unfortunately, I did launch it during the pandemic and I didn't get to have a book launch and all that sort of thing. So that was a little bit sad. I then translated it into Portuguese. Perfect, yeah. So I launched it in English in 2020 during the pandemic, and then I translated it into Portuguese, and I actually got to launch it finally in Portugal in that village. Yes, right there in that village, yeah. In 2022, when I went back there in 2022 after the pandemic. So it was really special. I had all my cousins who I have had a relationship with since that very first moment that I met them in 1995 as well. So it was super special to have long-time friends there and all my family there as well celebrate with me finally doing it in Portuguese. But when I returned, I decided that I wanted to honour someone that was still with us and someone who would get the chance to actually enjoy reading something inspired by them. And so I got back and I decided to honour my dad because he's also a storyteller, big storyteller. Dad moved from this little village to Brazil when he was about 15 years old to play professional soccer. He used to play professional soccer in Madeira for a team called Madeira, which is one of their big sides there. And then he went to Brazil and he played soccer there for various teams, and then he moved to Australia in his 20s. And he continued to play soccer here. But like I said, Dad was a massive storyteller. So we grew up listening to all these soccer stories. And that's when I decided to write Frankie and his Fantabulous Football, the story of that one, inspired by my dad and his little adventures as well. So in the process of translating that into Portuguese as well, and hopefully taking that over to Portugal this year to launch.
I love both of those books. So Fairy Belle has read both of those books on her YouTube channel. So jump over to the other YouTube channel to be able to see those. But what I found for me reading those stories, there was this common theme about the importance of family and the importance of having purpose with everything that you do. Did that come from your grandma and
yeah,
your
absolutely.
Is it a cultural thing as well?
Definitely. I think with my grandma, she came from nothing. Like, she lived in a little 2-bedroom home. She had, 6 kids that she raised mainly on her own because my granddad died quite young. And she was such a strong lady. I actually thought she was invincible. I never thought she'd pass. So her passing was a huge loss for our family. It was, the loss of the matriarch, who was so, so strong. And I think she inspired me in believing that you can do whatever you want, because she used to be that sort of a person. She conquered so much in her long life. And being a woman in that time as well.
Oh God,
she was so well respected. The village is small. It now has 500 people in there, because a lot of them have immigrated. Most of them are here, I say, in Perth. There's so many of them. But, she, being a woman in that time, raising those kids, losing a husband so young, she was just so strong, and she was so well respected, and she just inspired us. She inspired my mum. So I definitely think so. Yes, it is. Like you said, my books are centered around family, and I think the believing that you can do what you want to do, as long as you believe in yourself.
Absolutely. And what you were put here to do, you just need to figure that out.
Exactly.
So for you, for your creative process, do you find that that's changed a lot now that you're writing for children, or is there some elements that you had from journalism that you found have been a really surprising crossover?
I feel like they're completely different, to be honest. My creative process with writing children's book, it's so funny, because I was saying to my friend the other day that it's 3 a.m. thoughts. I'm sitting there. It always happens when I go to bed. And this thing with my grandma's, Constance and Madeleine's book, we were in the middle of a pandemic. We had a lot of time on our hands, and I just remember just going to bed one night and waking up the next morning and just sending a rough story. Like, I had it in my head. I woke up in the middle of the night and I could not sleep, and I just thought, I'm going to pop it down. And then I just sent this rough script in my notes on my phone to my sister and my girlfriend, and I was like, what do you think of this? I finally came up with this story, and my girlfriend was like, oh my God, that is so cute, such a cute story, you need to send this to somebody. And I thought, no, I'm going to do a few edits, obviously, and play around with it. But I just blurted it out. With journalism, that's very different. Like, obviously, you interview the person, you're going on facts, you're not going on fantasy, and you're not really creative. It's basically news. I was very lucky in my journalism career that I did start off as a news writer, though, and reporting on politics, police, council, health, all that sort of stuff. And then I got to cross over and do lifestyle, which is where you really got to play with words and get creative. So I did love that aspect of journalism, but thinking about the news, it's literally facts, tell the story, quick, sharp, short, to the point sort of thing. Whereas with your creative stuff, it's a little bit different, and you can have some fun with it. So yeah, with my journalism stuff, I mean, it did keep me up at night too, I have to say, thinking about some of the stories that I'd have to write. But yeah, with children's, it's you can have so much fun with it.
So much.
Really, yeah. So I'm still obviously, after Frankie's Fantabulous Football, I am looking at doing another one, but that's still in the works, and I'm waiting for that to come to me.
Yeah. Oh, you can't force it.
No.
It's really, it's interesting. I wanted to ask you that because, I mean, I've been quite honest about the fact that I don't have a writing routine. I don't sit and say between 9 and 10, I'm going to sit down and write. I'm very much somebody who has to write when the inspiration strikes.
Yeah.
With journalism, obviously, you can't do that. You can't just go, I'm going to sit here and wait till I'm inspired to write this. So
I'll let that deadline slide. Let's forget about that this week.
But it must be a lovely brain tickle for you.
Yeah.
Just honor those creative thoughts.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I have put pressure on myself because I'm like, oh gosh, I launched Frankie in 2020. Where are we? We're 2024. So 2022, November 2022. And I thought in 2023 I would have translated it into Portuguese. But I had such a busy year last year, and I didn't want to rush things. And there is no rush. So this year I thought, okay, we'll translate it this year. But then I started thinking, okay, now you've got to think of your next one. What are you going to do with your next one? Is it going to be inspired by your culture again? Is it going to be something different? Is it going to be something educational? So it's all of that. And I've just got to let it come to me.
And you can't force it. I mean, timing is everything. I think people who really force the process or even force the timing of books, I think it never ends well, because you've got to be in a position where you can give it 110%. Like, you know how much it takes now to market the book, translate it, get it out there. Like, it's a thing. Like, everyone thinks that, oh, you just write the book and then the book gets published and then all of a sudden you get famous. It doesn't work like that.
No way. Oh, it's so funny because since I've started writing as a published author, I do get a lot of requests from other people who want to try their hand at writing. And when you explain the process, that's it, lights out. You don't hear from them again. They get so put off. It
is not for the faint-hearted, especially children's books.
No, and they think it's easy. They
do.
Children's
they
book.
go, I'll just start with a 500-word children's book, because, that's the easiest thing to do. It makes me want to bang my head on the table and say that, because it's not.
No. And a lot of people do give up straight away because they do think it's easy. They do think they're going to get a lot of money. They do think they're going to get some sort of fame. And it's not like that at all. It's hard. It's expensive.
Yes. I call it the Hunger Games of the literature world. Yeah. It really is. You got to be in it for the long haul. You got and I mean, the great thing about you and your success is because you are coming from a place of having already that journalism background. So you know what it takes to write a book, edit it, you've got deadlines, you've got to think about it with not just your creative brain, but your business brain as well. And then you've got this beautiful family and culture that you can draw from. Like, I think that how you've done it is amazing, and big things from you, like, no pressure on you, but I can't wait to see what next little nugget happens. And do you get your ideas when you're out and about, or is it something that you kind of sit and it is something that you have to work at?
Out and about, and of course listening, like I said, listening to, having grown up with a dad who loved a yarn, who was very creative at telling and continues to be so. I've always been someone who, and I guess that's why I did become a journalist, because I did love listening to people's stories. So I do take inspiration from other characters and other people, I guess, and out and about my surroundings, and this place here was it.
It looks amazing. There's like a million stories hidden there. You just have
absolutely.
Maybe another trip.
Yeah, there is one coming up. There is one coming up in July. So
there you go. That'll be it. So what's the best part about what you're doing now?
In terms of writing,
or anything?
Anything. Yeah. So I wear a lot of different hats. Like I said, I'm working in marketing and communications for a rural health organisation. So we put healthcare into regional WA and especially Aboriginal communities. That's super rewarding. So I do a lot of the PR for that and media stuff for that. And then on the other side, I do the author stuff, the freelance journalism. I do a bit of lifestyle presenting on a Foxtel show, and I do some radio as well. So, and as well as that, I do public presentations at schools and other organisations. So it keeps me very busy. I love the variation Not one day is the same. And it's creativity in so many different areas of life, I guess. You know, I do health, I do children's stuff, I do educational stuff, I do lifestyle stuff, I do travel, and I also, which I didn't mention, through all my stuff that I do with my parents' hometown of Madeira, Portugal, I was recognised by the Portuguese government, and I, a few years ago, became one of 2 Australian representatives here for Madeira. So I'm like an ambassador to the island.
That's amazing. Yeah. Congratulations.
The official title is a counsellor, but it's being an ambassador. So basically I act like a conduit between our communities here in Australia, over there in Portugal. So
that is amazing. Look at the power of children's books that work there. Holy moly.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I was sitting here working one day and I got the phone call from the consulate asking me whether or not I'd be keen to become a counsellor. I was like, my head just spun, because I never imagined myself getting involved in, you know, international relations, I guess, side of things. It just brought about so many big opportunities. So I attend a forum, which is why I'm going over there this year. I attend a forum and an international conference, and I talk about what the things that our communities are going through here, and I take it back to the government over there. So it's pretty cool. It's a very exciting opportunity. So
very
cool.
Honoured.
Yeah.
You're a super cool lady. I love that. So as a community, because we were talking before about, especially the kidlet community all over Australia is so super supportive. What can we do to support you now? What is it that we can do to help you take your books or your career to the next level?
It's funny because they tell you straight to your face if they like it or not. And thank goodness I've had very good positive feedback. I was lucky enough to do a tour last year with the Portuguese language school, actually, and I toured Melbourne and Sydney, and it was funny. The teachers that were running the classes came out and said, Belinda, you've been the best author that we've had. Come and see us. Because you did the presentation in English and not Portuguese, and the kids could understand you. But I was engaging and a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun during the presentation, so that was good. I love ideas, and I love listening to kids share their ideas. So I guess to take it to the next level, or to come up with something else for my next publication, you know, them telling me, giving me feedback, whether it's on my socials or face to face when they see me, what they'd like to see next. I know that my last presentation I did, some of the children at my local library, they were saying to me that they were wanting to know what happened to Frankie after, you know, he won the game. And then, of course, with Constance and Madeleine, they want to know on like what happens now that she's found the precious stone again, you know. So it's, I guess that then leads me to think, do I do a part 2? Do I do a series, which was the original plan, to be honest. But it's all about.
I was thinking that about the Madeleine book too. I'd love to see what happens because it's such a beautiful relationship between her. Yeah, I think that's really gorgeous, and the underwater adventure that she goes on is super fun. Like,
so cute, and they're all the characters in the book are named after.
And that way we could. I know, that way we could get a proper launch too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we could do a proper launch, and then you might just have to invite me to Perth so I can come.
Yeah, that would be super fun.
So if people want to get in contact with you, because I know you are available for school visits, and then if anybody wants to get in contact with you to find out a little bit more about your books, what's the best way that they can get in contact with you?
So they can visit my website, belindacipriano.com, and they can also find me on Facebook under the same name, so Belinda Cipriano. So I'm available on all socials. I've got the website, which I'm working on, but it is available to contact me on, so they can get me through there.
Excellent. So I'm going to put links to both of those in the comments. So if you're watching and you're like, I need to talk to Belinda, then definitely have a look in the comments and you can go straight to the link to both of those. Belinda, I've had just such an amazing time talking to you. I am like being 1,000,000% honest when I say you are the most intriguing, inspiring woman, and everything that you've achieved, you know, from a place of culture and family. I just can't wait to see what happens next with you. So thank you so much for coming and talking to me today.
Thank you so much, Michelle. It's been my absolute pleasure. I've loved getting to chat to you this morning.
Awesome. So if you would like to find out more about Belinda, make sure you please go and follow her on socials and contact her via the website. And we will see you on another episode of Ask the Arts.